Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Papa Boris. Good evening. I am ridiculously excited today because it's July 23rd, 2020, which is either very close to the present or, I guess, in the deep, deep past of humanity as man and womankind stands on the brink of extinction and some weirdo anthropologists found my channel on YouTube and are like, what the hell was this crap? Anyhoodle, today's the day that Krumit's Tale has left early access and it's officially released. I'm very glad that I waited until it was released to do this series because the game has changed quite a bit. Since it's the first video, let me go ahead and explain what I'm going to do. I don't really care about daily challenges. I also don't care about mutation mode. I do think, however, this is, I think, the only game I've ever played where I actually liked the New Game Plus system. So what we're going to do is cycle through the 5 characters. Bruno, Greybeard, Mischief, Waldorf, Rose, and then back around to Bruno ad nauseum until all 5 have beaten the game on New Game Plus 4. Or 2 of them have beaten the game on New Game Plus 6. That's the plan. I reserve the right to change it, but that's probably what's gonna happen. So if you have not played any Krumit's Tale before and don't really know the game, I recommend that you check out my starting guide video. I did make that in early access when things looked a bit different, but the core mechanics are the same. And that'll give you the overview of the game that you need. I am still going to spend some time in the early videos and the early runs talking about the new stamps as I see them for the first time and my thoughts on them, as well as the new items that we're seeing for the first time, or most of them, but it's not going to be a completely comprehensive top-to-down explanation of how the game works. Anyway, let's go ahead and do our first run with Bruno. So I have actually made it to New Game Plus 8 with him. I haven't beaten it. It was ridiculously lucky. I'll share that story later. Let's go back to New Game. Oh wait, did I ever actually say what I was going to do? Oh yeah, basically I guess I should have mentioned this. When I win the game, the next time I come around to that character, I'm going to raise the New Game Plus level. And then if I lose, the next time I come around to them, I'm going to do the same level that they had done the previous time, in case that wasn't clear. Okay, so we're going to start at New Game 0. Bruno's special stamp is Sturdy. He gains 2 health anytime he picks up an item that grants block. You don't have to necessarily even buy the item. If some effect gives it to you, you still get the 2 health. So it's a very good ability because health is good. And you can play with a very kind of bread and butter style, more or less ignoring abilities and just using armor to parry enemy attacks and then using maybe a choice weapon or 2 to bring down the ones that have high health. With Bruno, it's much easier to win, or at least to understand how to win, than with the others. So if you are having a hard time, you pretty much with this game, you pretty much should just be playing as Bruno nonstop. Now, Bruno is very, very strong. The main drawback to Bruno is that his starting deck completely blows absolute goblin dicks. But, I think it's totally fair because you can swap it out during the game anyways, and, a character's got to have something bringing him down. If he's strong, easy to understand, and fun to play with, and there's got to be some drawback, and I think a crappy starting deck makes a lot of sense. Now, one good thing about Bruno is that even though I just said his starting deck is crappy, it's quite easy, no matter which of the starting areas you get to win without having to expend any of your tiles for that sweet, sweet post-dungeon gem bonus. So, we're fighting gobloids here, but whether it was the gobloids, or the skeletons, or the peasants, you take 3 damage to fight the guy bare naked. So you can kill 3 of them, at least on normal difficulty, and go down to 1 health. This will take you most of the way through your deck, and your starting deck does have 2 chainmails in it. So by this point, you're very likely to have a chainmail on the board. If you don't, if your 2 chainmails are both among the final 4 cards of your deck, you're likely to have the bucket on the board, so you can pick up the bucket. And if the 2 chainmails and the bucket are both among the final 4 cards of your deck, you should at least be able to pick up a healing potion and heal and just put it in your inventory so you're not spending it, and that will get you another card through, at which point you'll be guaranteed to have at least a chainmail or a bucket helm. So you pick up either one. It heals you for 2 thanks to Bruno's starting stamp. And I like that we got the Goblet level first because we're not going to parry them with this chainmail, but it doesn't really matter. I don't need to parry them. Just the fact that I'm blocking 2 incoming damage is good enough. So that now the thing dies. And at this point we've cleared out 4 of the 6 starting monsters. Now, if the other chainmail were on the board, I'd buy it. It's not, that's fine. We'll just go ahead and buy the bucket helm. And even if the bucket helm were in the deck with the chainmail, that would mean the healing potion was out. So you could pick up the healing potion, put it in inventory, and then the bucket helm or the chainmail would be out. So now you pick it up. It heals for 2. So now I can just go ahead, use it to block a damage, kill this guy without taking lethal damage. And now that we're at the end of the deck, you're guaranteed to see your other chainmail here, so you buy that. And you don't even have to actually use it, but you can for style to parry the last goblet. So incredibly easy to not have to spend any of your tiles on normal difficulty with Bruno, and most of the characters can get through without spending any tiles, but it's a little bit trickier for some of them. Even like on normal difficulty with Greybeard, I have trouble not spending a single tile, but with Bruno it's remarkably easy, so you get a whole bunch of gems and you can start to make some good progress. I can see we're gonna have some really crappy items here, unfortunately. Let's go ahead and take a perk. We got some better stuff here. So Savage I'm just not a big fan of. You get this Frenzy ability every single time you defeat an enemy. You can use it during combat to raise your base attack by 2, but you have to take 2 damage. And the problem is that raising your attack by 2 is usually not going to insta-kill an enemy, so you're taking 2 damage, and then you're probably going to take even more damage when you fight the enemy. So it's just a really annoying thing to deal with. These other 3 are very good. So Adjudicator makes it so that when you've taken 15 damage, either self-damage or just, being damaged in combat, your base attack goes up by 1, which is very strong. Jester is a really good combo stamp, so when you discard a tile, all the visible tiles have a randomized cost from 0 to 5. This is great for tiles that have a cost higher than 5, and of course, for tiles that cost 5, you have a really good chance of just lowering the cost substantially, or just any random thing could become 0, so it's just a really, really strong stamp, although it sometimes is annoying if you, are discarding a thing to get the 1 gold that you need to buy a thing, and then the thing changes its price. Giant Slayer also a great stamp because bosses, it's a puzzle. With any character you play as, you have to ask yourself, how am I going to kill bosses? Because they have so much more health than normal enemies. What you do for normal enemies probably isn't going to work for bosses. So you have to have some special thing in your deck to be able to deal with bosses, and Giant Slayer is a big component of that. I'm going to grab Judicator. It's safe, it's easy, it's effective. We're just going to take it. Now our tile unfortunately just completely blows Goblin Dicks here. So this thing, I just don't get it. I don't like this thing very much. This thing is very particular, and I don't really care about using weapons. So we're going to take this treasure chest. It's not good, but I think that was just the least bad of all the options. Let's go to the store. So here, unfortunately, we don't have anything all that great. So this thing is fine, but nothing amazing. This thing is totally fine. I don't really like to focus on weapons too much. And if I am going to get a weapon, I want a really high damaging weapon so it can take down high health enemies. This thing's actually kind of interesting if you get the Stout stamp, which raises your base health by 6, and then you can actually play 4 gold, and essentially it's kind of like increasing your base attack by 2. This thing I just hate with an absolute fiery passion. These 2 are both okay. So this is a little workhorse. It's not mind-blowing, but there are some enemies against which it's incredibly effective. Bosses often have random ass effects. You can turn off Blitz, you can turn off healing, you can turn off unblockability. And then the crowbar I just love. Some levels it does nothing, but destroying armor and getting a 1-tick plate armor is really effective because it actually heals you. So I'm always going to get a crowbar if it's available. And I will get hamstring too. Now, in the starting deck, the absolute worst items, in my opinion, are these slashes. So we're going to go ahead and delete one in order to keep my deck at the current size of 12 out of 12, and we're going to go ahead and do the next level. So this level is, I think, a pretty good one for Bruno to get, although I'm not sure how many of the second levels are really, unmanageable for him. So these guys just have a base attack of 2 with Blitz. Now, Chainmail completely demolishes them. If you fight them bare naked, you're only taking 4 damage. It's not that much worse than the 3 damage that you take for fighting the level 1 guys. So what I'm going to do is kill 2 of them, just taking the damage twice. I am fine with that. So we're going to go down to 2 health. And then I'll buy a Chainmail, which will heal me back up to 4. And we'll kind of reevaluate. I did get a little bit unlucky because neither the item I got for treasure nor the items that were available in the shop were particularly high value items. There was nothing that, did a bunch of damage. There was nothing that gave a lot of block. And, this guy is going to be a bit of a, dare I say, bear to kill. I'm hoping I turn on Judicator before I fight him, then I just have to hit him a few times. Does this thing destroy... Yeah, it's all armor and block. That's really, really good because I can let this guy block and destroy it with the crowbar, and then I get the plate mail, which eats up this attack. So if I have Adjudicator active, that will actually let me win. So the crowbar actually is going to be very crucial here. What I'm gonna do next, I think, is just... So there's a couple different ways I can go with it. I could use up this chainmail to stop myself from dying, and then I could pick up hamstring. It'll turn off the blitz from this attack, so I take 2 less damage when I fight them. I will only take a net of 2 damage instead of a net of 4. There's no real way that I can pick this up without expending a tile, though, because if I pick this up, it's instant. If I pick up this slash, then I don't have the gold to buy the hamstring, so I'm kind of stuck where I am. So what I'm going to do here is I will just use my other tick of the chainmail. If I'm going to use up a tile no matter what, might as well just take no damage in the process. So now I'm going to pick up hamstring, and I'm hoping that I screwed up. I did not realize that that was the case. In the old version of the game, if you canceled the blitz with hamstring, it would stay canceled because it was the same attack every time. Oops, well, I'm dead. Okay, well, that was a good first run here. I did not know that that mechanic had changed. Obviously, I could have just let the first attack blitz me and then cancel it on the second attack. So, yeah, thanks for watching, everybody. Hope you enjoyed it. As you can see, I am an expert at the game. And then, yeah, we'll be back with Greybeard. See you soon.